So we're in this series, and I want you to say the name with me. 1, 2, 3, go. God, come on, wimps. God always makes a way. Okay, I saw your lips moving, but I don't think your face believed it. So let's try it again. 1, 2, 3, go. God always makes a way. That's our confession. That's our faith. That's what we believe. That God always makes a way. And Jesus, for our whole series, we're using this parable from Luke 18 about the widow standing before the unjust judge. And the truth in the scenario is that the widow has every right to justice by law. And the judge is unjust, not only to her, but to many others. And yet she stands there and says, "This belongs to me." That's what we do when we stand before Jesus. This belongs to me. This is what you've promised me. This is what you've said in your word. And you are the source of everything good that comes into my life. So I stand at the door and I knock. And I knock. And I knock. And why do I keep knocking when God doesn't do what I want? Because in my knocking, I'm acknowledging that God is the source of everything good for me. As long as I stand at the door knocking, I am standing in faith. When I stop knocking, my faith has stopped. My faith has gone somewhere else. So I want to speak to you, and I want to say, keep knocking, because God always makes a way. And don't give up. Because Jesus says, when the Son of Man comes, will he find this kind of faith on earth? See, there's tons of faith on earth, yeah? Think about the many things people believe in and trust in, but there's a particular kind that he's looking for. It's the kind of faith that looks to him for what has been promised to you. Give me the next slide, if you would. So last week we began, and this is going to be doubt part 2. And what we want to say is it's possible, and you all have outlines you can fill in and follow through, but it is possible to have doubts and not be defeated by them. Our passage last week speaks very well here, and it says, "We are pressed on every side by troubles, but we are not crushed." Can I get an amen? Anybody feel the pressure? But I'm not crushed and broken. We're perplexed. I don't get it. But we don't give up and quit. We're hunted down, but God never abandons us. We get knocked down, but we get up again and keep going. Can I get an amen? Give me the next slide. So last week, we said that one of the first things we need to do is to admit our doubts. I mean, I talk to people periodically, and they act like they have no doubt. They have no doubt. Crazy men in God, Martin Luther said. Madmen in God, Martin Luther said, are the only people in existence with no doubts. See, being a Christian doesn't mean denying your doubts. Being a Christian means coming to faith in courage in the face of your doubts. So the very first thing we need to do is admit what our doubts are. And why we do that is, have you ever walked through your house at night, and you kind of know where you left the ottoman and where the roller skates were and stuff? And it's dark, and they're not where you thought they were. And you hit them, and you trip on them, and you fall. Well, you have to identify what it was that you tripped on and where it is, or what? You're just going to do it again. And so what God invites us to do is not deny our doubts and not to be defeated by our doubts, but to admit our doubts. When we admit the place of doubt, we can then come, because we recognize what we doubt, and take authority over it. See, you can't take authority over what you don't know. What we find in Genesis, as God gives Adam and Eve authority, dominion over the earth, what's he do? He names the animals. You need to be able to name your doubt so you can take authority over it and walk in faith. Amen? So last week, I had you take Post-its. Carl and Rodrigo, would you guys come up here? I had you take Post-its and write down your doubts. So give everybody one. I have faith there's enough for everyone. That was like a corny thing. You know, we looked at different things. Is there one more? Yeah. Okay, what happens when there's the delay in getting what God has promised? Number one, when we say God is testing your faith, I think a better word for that is God is stealing your faith. Stealing. Not taking it away, but making it... Oh, I misspelled it. That's what happens when I try to act smart and spell words. He's stealing it, he's tempering it, he's making stronger. Because what the enemy is doing, while God is testing your faith, the enemy is contesting your faith. He's saying they don't have faith, they're going to walk away any minute. And God is stealing you. God is at work in your character, making you able